Hey mathematicians, so in that notebook 2.1, you'll see a page. We are on page 2 of that notebook, and I've got an illustrated example of how you find the domain and range. So as you can see here in the green highlighted section, this is a diagram of something called a relation. And basically a relation is just a set of ordered pairs that are hanging out. And it's a discrete relation because it's made up of these scattered points. Like there's not a solid line that is connecting them. Now, technically you could connect them with a line, but the point is that they're not actually connected. So that's what makes it discrete. And finding the domain and range of a discrete relation is relatively basic compared to when we do some that aren't discrete, which we'll get to in another video. So what you need to do is just identify the x values, because the domain is just a fancy word for the x values in a relation. So as you can see here, I've listed all the ordered pairs and I listed them up in the diagram. And then the way that you write the domain is you just list all those x coordinates, and I have them in order from least to greatest, as you can see here. That's not necessarily a requirement that you do that, but it is a good habit to get into just because it does make it a little bit easier in my opinion. And the key ingredient here are these curly Q braces on either side. And yes, the brackets, the type of braces you use do matter, because you'll see in some other examples that we use a different kind depending on what's inside of it. I said that really badly, but yeah. So basically you just need to make sure you have the curly Q braces. The other thing is that you need to keep in mind, so in the range, it's a pretty similar concept to finding the domain, except instead of your x values, the range is now going to be your y values. So I listed them, and then a key idea is spelled out right here over to the side that says when you've got a value that repeats, so for example, here we have 1, 5, and 5, 5. So both of those ordered pairs have a 5, but you only write that 5 once when you put it in between the braces. And the rule is actually the same for the domain too. So if you have a number that repeats in the domain or the range, either one, you don't write it twice down here, you only write it once. So that's why there are 5 coordinates graphed in the graph, but you only have 4 numbers listed in the range, because you're not going to write that 5 twice.